Chapter 3, Turbine Engines. Number 1. Explain the main difference and advantage of a turbofan over a turbojet engine. A turbofan engine uses a fan to bypass some air around the engine core and to provide thrust. The advantage is that this provides additional thrust without increasing fuel flow. Number 2. Name the major components in a gas turbine engine. Air inlet, compressor section, combustion section, turbine section, exhaust section, gearbox, and accessory section. Number 3. What determines the amount of airflow through a turbine engine? The forward speed of the aircraft, compressor speed, and air density. Number 4. Name the two types of compressors commonly used in turbine engines. Axial and centrifugal flow compressors. Number 5. Name two different methods for attaching turbine engine rotor blades to the rotor disc. Dovetail type route or bulb type route or fir tree type route. Number 6. What is a split compressor system? Also called a dual or twin spool compressors, these are connected to the turbine section with two rotor shafts, one inside the other. Number 7. What are the different types of combustion chambers used in turbine engines? Can annular, and reverse flow annular. Number 8. What prevents the combustion chambers from burning? Cooling air along the inside of the liner. Number 9. What is the purpose of the interconnecting tubes attached between can-type combustion chambers? For flame propagation during start. Number 10. What functions do axial flow turbine nozzles perform? They direct the mass airflow to drive the turbine rotor at a specific angle. Number 11. How is thermal stress relieved on a turbine disc? By directing bleed air onto the face of the disc or by grooves being cut in the disc. Number 12. What are carbon seals used for turbine engines? They are used as oil seals for the rotor shaft bearings. Number 13. What is shaft horsepower? It is an indication of the torque developed by a turboprop or turbo shaft engine. Number 14. Name the main components of a typical APU. A small power turbine for power and bleed air, and an electrical generator. Number 15. When is the greatest demand placed on an APU? When supplying bleed air. Number 16. How is an APU generally started? With its own electrical starter and battery power. Number 17. Where does the APU get its fuel supply? From one of the aircraft's main fuel tanks. Number 18. At what speed does a gas turbine APU operate, and how is the speed maintained? It's maintained at or near its rated speed regardless of electrical or pneumatic loads imposed. The APU fuel control automatically adjusts the fuel flow to maintain the rated speed. Number 19. What is used to prevent a heavily loaded APU from exceeding its maximum EGT? A load control valve modulates the pneumatic load to maintain EGTs within limits. Number 20. How is an APU shut down and why is this procedure used? After the APU is unloaded by closing the bleed air valve, it is run for a specified amount of time to allow the EGT to cool and stabilize. This cooldown period is typically 3 minutes. If a heavily loaded APU is abruptly shut down without any cooling down period, damage could occur as a result of thermal shock. Number 21. What powers the variable inlet guide vanes used on some APUs to regulate compressor intake airflow? Fuel pressure. Number 22. What is a fan blade shingling? It is the overlapping of the mid-span shrouds of the fan blade. Number 23. When a turbofan or turbojet engine is shut down, what should a mechanic listen for during coast down? Any rubbing sound or other unusual noises from the engine.